All right there, everyone. Great to be back with you. We have as our guest back again with us today, Colin Plume. Colin is the president of Noble Gold. He's been creating and looking after wealth for his clients and advising them on strategy and the management of their assets for several years. And I know a lot of you have been responding to these unprecedented times that we're living in by giving gold and precious metals a second look, especially when it comes to your portfolios for retirement. So Colin is here to help bring some clarity in the midst of all the confusion and this rising post-pandemic, post-riot culture. So Colin, welcome back to the channel.
Dr. Steve, always a pleasure. Fun to be on and lots to talk about today.
There really is, and it's always great to have you. As we've said before, I mean, Noble Gold's a good friend of the channel, and
absolutely,
our audience loves you. They love what you're doing. So this is you're providing quite the treat here. So let's start with where we are in general. I guess we'll go from the universal to the particulars, as it were. We're in the midst of an election. We've got the pandemic still going on, although fortunately it seems to be in a lull with cases at an all-time low, thankfully. We've got the riots that have been going on over in many of our cities, which is forcing a lot of businesses and residents to move out to the exurbs and leaving the city. So what do you, just give us a general sense of what you see as the economic impacts and effects of all this?
Well, you know, when you have the amount of job loss that we've had, you know, we're still at record numbers, above double digits unemployment. That's going to have a dramatic effect on, you know, customer spending, housing prices, you know, overall just, you know, what companies are going to be doing in terms of hiring. Are they going to hire back a lot of these jobs? And I believe they're not going to. I think that we're going to stay above double digits this year. And I think obviously next year, I think things will move in a different direction. But our country was sort of forced to reevaluate our strengths in terms of the economy. And I think President Trump has talked about this a lot. This is why we started our a conflict with China over tariffs, is that we wanted to move everything back here to the US in terms of manufacturing. And I think the supply chains that were broken during COVID, and everybody felt them because you couldn't get things that you could always get, people started to realize, hey, we do need to start making things here again in the US. And they were forced to listen to that wise reasoning of, we should be making a lot of our own products. And repatriating and coming back here to the US is something that is important, but it takes a lot of time, because even to set up a lot of the manufacturing that we know that we need to do here, it doesn't happen overnight.
Right.
You have to find the location, you have to negotiate the tax benefits, the building of the structures. I mean, the next 12 to 24 months, we're going to be starting to do a lot more manufacturing here. And eventually those jobs will come back. But no company, none of these large corporations are going to hire these manufacturing jobs a day before those factories are ready for people too. So I think that, you know, in the long run, it's a good thing that we're moving in this direction. It's a good thing that people are becoming more conservative with their spending. And I think that's a big part of what we're seeing. People are spending money in different ways. You know, one of the big trends is outfitting your home to be able to work from home in a better environment. And that trend is not going to go anywhere, because companies now realize they don't need that tall structured building anymore. So we're going to have a lot of that real estate go vacant, and it's not going to come back for years and years. I don't think companies are going to be looking at the way they hire the same way anymore. So we're in it for a while. Then the other thing you have is just spending in general. Our economy runs on spending. We're coming up here on Christmas. You also have the election coming up. This is going to be a dismal Christmas, unfortunately. It's not going to be what it used to be. People are not going to be spending money wildly the way they used to. A lot of people are finally just coming off some government aid. So, you know, people aren't going to have extra cash. So we're really in the midst of basically basically a restructuring here in the United States.
Right.
And fundamentally it will be good in the end, but in the short term, it's going to be a long haul before things get fixed.
I like that concept of restructuring. It's literally, I think we're trying to create a whole new supply chain, aren't
Yes.
we?
Exactly.
Yeah, and that's going to take time. Going out. So if we're flattening out the economy, as it were, if we're changing sort of the industrial revolution, let's all urbanize, let's all just gather together in this mass conglomerate area and then build upwards of our big skyscrapers. If we're kind of in almost a Babel sort of sense, kind of going back out again to home and hearth and land and community and exurbs. This sort of going back to the basics seems to be giving people another look at gold and as money, as real money and the like.
Yeah, absolutely.
Go
People
for it.
are
Yeah.
changing their view of currency. And I think a lot of it has to do with the never ending low interest rates. I think now we've come into this cycle where we know that interest rates are never going to move that much up. So you're always going to be able to have low interest rates. You're always, if you want to, be able to probably get into a home if you want to, or maybe you just stay a renter because you don't want all of that work that goes along with owning a home. I think the idea of the home and how people are living is people are changing their mentality. They're just saying, well, maybe I'll just stay rented because it gives me flexibility and I don't have property tax. I don't have to fix the roof. Millennials are moving a lot in that direction where they don't necessarily believe that they have to have that home. So people are looking for more flexibility with their investments. And I've seen with Noble Gold, the increase in the amount of people just buying physical gold and silver and sending it to their doorstep. We got started as doing a lot of IRAs, but when this pandemic hit, I would say we were 60, almost 70% of our transactions were people that actually wanted physical gold sent to their doorstep. So I think people were moving away from the banks. They wanted some money at home. And I think a lot of it is just what they saw. They'd go to the bank, they'd see this huge line. I've been to the bank multiple times where they told me they didn't have enough cash.
Right.
I've been to the bank where my normal bank got shut down and there was no one there. So I think visually when you see those things, you start to think to yourself, like, what's happening with my money? Like what's happening that I can't get access to it? And I think gold, it eliminates that issue altogether because it's so liquid. There's never a time in the world that you can't liquidate gold and silver. Right. I mean, it's always that way, but obviously, especially right now, everybody wants physical gold and silver. And, from the industry point of view, the mining companies, like the biggest silver miners in the world are in Mexico. They were completely shut down for almost 4 months because of COVID. Mm. And you know how much silver is in demand right now. And then, obviously people, they see that little news report like, oh, silver mining, they're shutting down the mitts in Mexico. And you see that like end of April. And then, silver goes from $14 to $29 an ounce. It's like there is a correlation. And I think people like that with this investment, that it's not so kind of up in the air, that there's actually some correlation between supply and demand.
Right.
The fact that the mining slowed down, and we need silver, the price went up. I think people really resonated with that. And I think that's because they're looking at the stock market and they're saying, how could, we have 12% unemployment, the economy's not going well, but yet people can afford a $70,000 Tesla car. What's the connection? Like doesn't seem to be making sense. So and I think your point is it's kind of goes back to the fundamentals. People are focusing on the fundamentals and they're getting back to what's true value.
Right.
And even, not to go even farther, but Warren Buffett, who has been historically a person that has never been a fan of gold, just bought a significant share in Barrick Gold Corporation, which is one of the largest gold mining companies in the world. And so he's pulled almost all of his liquid cash that he was able to out of stocks, the money that he was able to. And now he's bought a portion in an asset that he's historically kind of poo-pooed on for his career. So I think there's a lot of writing on the wall for metals right
Yeah, that's out today on today or yesterday, oilprice.com. Yeah, August 25th. So yesterday. Yeah. So Warren Buffett is going
now.
into the Oracle of Omaha, right? Is going into gold.
Yeah.
And it just seemed what's resonating in my mind when you're talking about sort of going back to the basics as well is just the idea of returning to the notion of money as a kind of real estate, as something that's actually real. A lot of people don't even think about what money really is.
Right.
You and I were talking before the interview of our kids, and talking about money growing on trees, or it just comes out of the air. But in a sense, for that Gen Z generation, money is digital. It is There is a sense where it's ethereal, and it has actually no real estate to it and the like. But then you have these, as it were, crashes. You have these systemic interruptions. And that's when materialized three-dimensional reality really kicks in, and you're just looking for, again, as we said, the basics of per diem life. And yeah, it seems that gold and silver just fit perfectly within that framework. Do you think that at least is in part of why we have been seeing a surge in gold? Market Watch is reporting Goldman Sachs has a new blowout forecast for gold. They see it reaching $2,300 an ounce in the next few months. It looked like actually it was going to hit it at one point in a couple of weeks. That same article from oilprice.com is saying, as is Goldman Sachs as well, if I recall, is saying we're not so far away from a $5,000 an ounce future. What do you think on that?
Well, it's the reason that gold was used as a currency is that it was an actual good store of value. That currency it's supposed to be liquid. It's supposed to, you should be able to know the value of it, kind of anywhere in the world. That's why we
portable, right? Yeah.
Portable. Yeah, exactly. And so, but the US dollar has not been a store of value. It has not been a store of value for a long time. And so you have to, a lot of times, have a sort of black swan event like we did to kind of shake people up. And there is a reason why gold and like cryptocurrencies like Bitcoin are going up in value. People are looking for a safer place to keep their money. And if you look at historically, like bond rates, in the mid 1990s, you could get, they said, less than 20% of the bonds paid less than 5% in mid 1995. Today, 60% of the world's bonds pay less than 1%.
Wow.
So where do you go? Where do you go? How do you, if you have money, if you're a fund and you have money and you go, I'm not gonna, if I can move into gold for a few months, even let's say they want to move in and out of stuff, and I can make, gold's made 30% plus returns, or I can get into silver and then move into something else that's going to be more profitable. I think gold and silver have become the store of value place for funds and for investors, whereas before they would just go into the US dollar. And I think that's what's really changed, is you have that large buying pool that's dipping in and buying gold. And I've read a number of billionaires. I mean, Paul Tudor Jones, Naguib Sawiris. Naguib Sawiris put half of his $5 billion fortune into gold 16 months ago.
Wow.
So, I mean, these are not people that are afraid of people say, oh, gold it's for the stable investor and you're conservative. I mean, a billionaire, you can't become a billionaire from nothing if being conservative. They saw true value there. And so I think it's becoming that store of value again. And I think people are starting to sort of recognize that in their portfolio. And people are coming out of the woodwork. I mean, Bank of America said that gold's going to hit 3,000 an ounce in the next. That was right after COVID. So that was, so about 14 months from now, they believe gold's going to hit 3,000. So
Okay.
there's a lot of people out there that are kind of rallying around gold. And I think a lot of it is just money. And then those industrial uses. If anybody gets a chance, I do 1-minute videos on my YouTube channel where I talk a lot about industrial uses of precious metals. And gold has a tremendous amount of medical uses, and they continue to grow. They use gold a lot of times. A lot of the things they use in cancer research, cancer testing, they use gold because it's very good inside your body because it doesn't just break apart. And so they use gold. They also use platinum. So it's not just money that the reason that people like gold. They like it for those industrial reasons. And, obviously the Egyptians used gold for, thousands of years. And part of it they used in medicine was for the same factors that people are using it for today. So it's kind of a two-prong reason of why they feel that gold's a good value for their investment.
And it's just so interesting too. It's not even buying, well, if I recall what you were saying, the billionaires aren't buying funds, right? They're buying actual physical gold.
Yeah, some of them buy mining companies, but typically they'll buy a combination. They'll buy some mining because, to buy only mining companies, like I was saying, you'd have to pick the exact right one, and no one can really do that. So typically they'll buy a mining company or two, and then they'll buy some physical. Some of them maybe buy the ETF form, but a lot of these big investors are really loving the physical, and they like having it. And I know some of the facilities we use do store with some larger investors, and they store some of their physical gold and silver there too, because the facilities we use are obviously highly protected and secure and insured. Yeah. So I've had investors that have gone through us and had it stored there for them outside of their IRA, because they want the liquidity of it and they want the insurance and things like that. So we also, we store for IRAs, but we also store outside of someone, I have clients that travel or they just, don't feel comfortable having a lot of money in gold at home. So we can store that for them for safety purposes also.
So you're right. So somebody is interested in getting into gold. A lot of people are now, obviously. And they gave Noble Gold a call. I know you guys have some great people on the other line. Yes. What can they expect when they called Noble Gold? What would you offer to them? How would you help them, assist them, and the like?
Yeah. I think the first thing is the education on metals. I think we really focus on bullion products, bullion coins and bars, which have the highest weight, highest purity. They're the most liquid. So, there's so many coins. We streamlined it down to products that people are buying and selling every day. So we, we'll go through all those and kind of explain all the options. Everybody on our staff understands metals, and they've either collected for a long time or they're collecting, so they're going to understand the different metals that are out there and really explain to the person calling the differences, so it's not so confusing. Their job is to make it easier, and we give out free books and information, so they're going to get all that. If they do an IRA and they mention that they heard us on this show, we're actually giving away, I think, one of the most interesting coins that I've been able to get in bulk, just because I wanted to get enough for clients, is the 5-ounce America the Beautiful Apollo coin.
Yeah.
And that's a limited edition coin. It's a 50th anniversary coin. So anyone that does a qualified IRA is going to get that for this month. And they'll get that coin delivered to your doorstep. And I actually, just so you know, it took me a while to get them, but your coin is actually on its way too.
Oh, lovely.
So you'll have
lovely.
That coin.
Yeah, I think we've actually featured the coin special. Was it this month or last month? I'm trying to remember.
We had another coin that was a 5-ounce coin. That's another really beautiful coin. But this is actually, it's a limited edition proof coin. It's
nice.
So it's something you haven't had before. So you're going to get it. You'll probably have it in the next few days.
Sweet.
And it's selling online for $300 plus. My opinion, it's going to be worth thousands of dollars, because they don't make a lot of these coins. It's such a beautiful coin. So anyone does an IRA, just mention that you heard us on this show, and then they'll go ahead, once your IRA is taken care of, they'll go ahead and send that coin for free to your doorstep.
Wow. And the 5 ounces are nice and big, aren't they?
Yeah, absolutely. Great. You can't even get it. US Mint they have it on the website, but you can't buy it there. They sold out of it. I was lucky to get enough of them. And, I told my staff, and so everyone on my staff got a coin. But I was sort of thinking about hoarding them for myself. I think I was going to keep them, but then they talked some sense into me and
there you go. That's right. Spread the love, Colin.
Yeah.
Spread the love.
Yeah. Well, you're going to have it. You're going to have some there. You're starting to get a nice collection, which is nice.
Oh, we are. And I love it. I love it. And again, our listeners know, I own gold. I silver. I believe in this stuff, and big time. Yeah. Again, I love even when you were talking about, the ancient Egyptians used that. It's just we're dealing with something as old as humanity. In effect,
yeah.
it's got a permanent value, and precious metals just provide that kind of security, that real estate security that simple paper money or the like just simply can't do. Even the U.S. Treasury can't offer that kind of security in the end. Maybe
Absolutely.
up to 250,000, and that's about it, right? So.
Yeah. Well, think about it. There's only, in the last 200 years, there's only two paper currencies left. You got the dollar and you have the pound. That's it. Everything else has fallen apart, and everybody's seen currencies go away. I mean, it's not like it can't happen, and who knows? I hope that we never have anything like that happen with the dollar directly, but indirectly, it's sort of happening. Right? I mean, think about what you can buy, what things cost. I think it's interesting because they were talking about home prices not dropping, but in a way they are dropping because the value of the dollar is sort of dropping, right?
Right.
So really, the home prices aren't staying up. That just our dollars just don't buy as much anymore.
Right. Yeah. A lot of people don't realize. I mean, you could buy. Yeah, so you could buy a very nice home right now, probably for what, 4,000 silver dollars, something like that. The coin goes up in value because it's real estate. It goes up in value with.
Absolutely, and I have heard of real estate transactions happening with gold and silver. Obviously, both parties have to agree to it.
Yeah,
I've seen multiple transactions recently with Bitcoin too.
Wow,
that can happen too. So it's money is money, right?
Money is money.
If the person on the other end is willing to receive it, it's totally fine. And I wonder why the gold and silver was being moved. Maybe it was moving some tax stuff around. But listen, I'm not going to ask any questions. I don't work for that side, so I'm out of it. Good for them.
Right, there you go. No, absolutely. And again, I don't think you could stop it too. I mean, if again, like you say, if it's a matter of value for each. It's a mutual profit for both parties involved, and gold has more profit than dollars. And
and the person, one of the crypto transactions happened earlier this year. And can you imagine if they sold a house and Bitcoin is at 4,800, and now it's at I mean, how happy are they that they didn't take that trade in dollars, right?
And the only way they could do something comparable with the dollars is if they turned around and invested them in something like cryptocurrency or gold or something like that.
From what I understand, the person that owned the house, they didn't need the money and they didn't know what to do with it. So the buyer just suggested, hey, would you be interested? And the seller sort of thought about it and said, sounds fine. And
that's awesome.
So there it was. And I don't know, I think everybody wins. Maybe the person that bought it with Bitcoin maybe is a little upset because they sold too early, but that's the game that you play with investors.
That's the game. And right, you're always taking a risk with your home and real estate and the like with that.
Exactly.
So awesome, Colin. Well, we can't thank you enough for bringing some clarity again into oftentimes very confusing times, and you've been very generous with your time. How can people get in touch with you if they want to learn more about Noble Gold?
Yeah, you can check out the website, Noble Gold Investments, or they can call us at 877-646-5347. Even if it's after hours, they're watching the show, they can always leave a message and someone will call them back. A live person here in the US will call them back and be available to answer all their questions.
Yeah, you got a great staff. We'll definitely also have a direct link under the video. And they'll have they have a little more time to possibly qualify for that 5-ounce America the Silver, America the Beautiful Silver
such a
bullion
beautiful
coin.
coin. I'm so happy I love when people get these coins, and yeah, I'm happy to be able to offer it. So yeah, anyone, just make sure when they call in to mention they heard us on the show. We'll put a note, even if they fill out the paperwork, before the end of August, the money could take a week or two after, because we might have to wait for the money to roll over. But regardless of that, the deal stands, and they'll get this coin delivered to their doorstep.
Awesome, Colin. Awesome. Thank you so much for the service that you provide for all of us, the wealth of information that you give to us. That is certainly incalculable. We can't thank you enough. Thanks for being here, Colin.
Appreciate it. Have a good day.
You too.